Okay. Good morning, everybody. It's Sunday, August 30th, and we have Sterling in the room.
Good morning, everybody.
And he's going to cover some housekeeping. First, we're
Yeah,
going to talk about the contest.
Right. So I think 3 quick items at the top of the show we're going to mention. One is the contest is still on for this week because Linda is almost at 36,000 subs. So I think you've got 100 more to go. So
Is it 100? Okay.
I think it's 100 this morning. So this week, anybody that puts comments in the show
With a heart or love, use the word love.
Word love, then you're automatically entered to the contest. So
okay.
That's good.
And you pick it next Sunday.
We will.
Hopefully.
And then we'll announce next Sunday. The second thing I was going to mention was some people still have trouble getting into the community section, the community tab to put their questions. So I did a little research on this to see where people are having difficulty. And so here's 2 things. We're going to put detailed instructions in the comments section to this video, so you'll see. But the simple answer is that if you have a late model mobile phone, say you have a late model Apple iPhone or Android, you can use the YouTube app. And then by logging into the YouTube app and then searching for Linda G. Psychic, and then going to that landing page and then hitting the sketch diagram of Linda, that will take you to the community. You'll see a community tab. For anything else, so if you're on a laptop or a desktop, a Mac or a PC or a tablet, could be an Android tablet or an iPad, you have to go straight to youtube.com and not use the app. So the apps don't work on those devices. So hopefully that helps a few people. Yeah.
All right. And then you were going to bring up one other thing.
Some questions had come up before about how Lynn and I coordinate some of these shows. And one of them is usually at the top of the show, we try to bring in somebody from that week, so we just want to make it clear that we take from the list of questions that we get, sometimes there's several hundred, but people will say, can you bring through this individual or that individual? So that selection gets made before the show. And then that's why I'll bring that person in prior to the show. So okay. It's not just coincidental. It's based on the questions and requests that we get.
Okay. All right, you guys. So we got our questions. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Linda.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Linda.
Okay. From the other side, does John Lennon have a message for us?
He does. So it's a perfect example of where, yesterday I brought him in, and one of the key things he was telling me was that he wanted his whole life while he was here to be about peace and love. Not surprising, but he really felt that part of his mission was to try to proliferate that across as many disciplines and societies as he could, the subject of peace and love. And as he got further into his life, he did a lot of spiritual research, he was telling me, but he really hoped that he could bring together a lot of different populations and civilizations around peace and love as the unifier. And of course, it's been difficult the last number of decades since she left us. I think he left in the early 80s, if I remember correctly.
1980.
Yeah, there you go, 1980. But he hoped the world would make more progress, but he was all about peace and love, and he's still helping from the other side in every way that he can around those 2 themes. So okay, that's one thing you want to put across. Yeah.
Kamala, did I pronounce it right? Kamala.
Kamala? Yeah, it's like Pamela, right? Like Pamela,
yeah. Kamala Harris's speech focused on the fact that Trump is trying to take away SSI for the disabled within a year and SSI for older Americans within 3 years. Is this going to happen?
So I don't see that happening in any short term. I think what it looks to me like in the early stages of the Biden presidency, there's going to be a lot of congressional activity around how you fund all this and keep it in place. So I don't see it being pulled away, no.
Okay, good. Why was the Rose Garden changed? Will the plants and trees be restored at a later date?
So there's a lot of ego involved here in some of this. There's an ego element, whether it's on her part because she felt like maybe disrespected by prior first ladies. But here's the important thing. Some of this was done for television, in terms of laying out the Rose Garden. And I firmly believe that a lot of the plants and certainly the trees will be replanted. So that they weren't killed off. They were.
Yeah, I didn't feel them
locked
destroyed.
up.
I felt they're keeping them somewhere.
They are. They are.
Because this is way before her time.
Right. Right.
So, okay. What is the future of lobbyists in politics in America?
So lobbyists are guaranteed in the Constitution, and so they're going to be around for quite a while. What is going to change is the amount of public information that's available. So you actually be able to, from your laptop, from your phone, be able to peer in then to certain lobbyists, actually a lot of lobbyists, and find out where money came from. You know, there were some comedians in the past, as a side note, but I think maybe even Jay Leno might have said this and some others, that they felt that all lobbyists should walk around like NASCAR drivers. So like NASCAR drivers have like Pennzoil and STP,
Yeah.
they have all the sponsors, that lobbyists and congressmen as well should walk around and have all those patches who they're sponsored by. So
I know for a long time, a lot of presidents, even Democrat, had promised they would get rid of the lobbyists in their abilities to control things, and they still haven't done anything.
yeah, well, it's guaranteed in the Constitution, that activity. But how you monitor it is the key. So
Right,
they're
because
gonna
even
monitor
Trump
it.
said he would get rid of anyway. Will we, the people, ever know the secrets contained in the secret server?
And this is the one that was referenced a lot in the whole Ukraine fiasco and everything that 45 was involved in. The simple answer there is that secret server content is going to be handled directly by the FBI, but it's not going to be in public. So the public's not going to get it, no.
Okay. What is going on with all the disappearing and murdered Hispanic soldiers at Fort Hood Army Military Base?
So that base has got a fair amount of corruption, unfortunately. But what they're telling me is it's not necessarily focused on Hispanics. So it's focused on, there's a number of crimes going on there, and people that have been either abducted, that is, criminally or otherwise, but it's not focused on just Hispanics, is what they're telling me.
Okay. Is Trump propping up the stock market, and how? If he is.
Most certainly. And, there's some practical information on this as well as what they're telling me, what the guys are telling me. But the manipulation's been going on for many years now, but it has to do with surges in the purchase and selling of stocks that are tied to the S&P 500 and the Dow Jones, as well as now like treasury bonds, trillions of dollars of treasury bonds. So that's putting surges into the stock market that are artificial. Yeah.
Okay. Will GMO foods and pesticides ever be eliminated from our food supply?
Genetically modified, obviously, foods, GMO. It looks to me like on a short horizon here, something like 5 years, there's going to be some nice breakthroughs in the way food is produced, and kind of necessitate the needs for pesticides. So it looks like there's going to be, more advances in the scientific community around foods that won't need the pesticides. Will be healthier for us. Yeah.
Right. Oh, okay. That sounds good. Do souls sometimes appear as light or orbs, and then at other times appear as they did when they were alive on Earth?
That's a good question. Yeah, and it's comes up a lot. Orbs are spiritual entities, and in fact, it's the easiest way for a spirit to be shown. So it takes less energy to be seen as an orb, and it takes a lot of energy to be seen as almost like you and I. So it really just show themselves as, a lot of energy. And my interpretation that it happens during a lot of special circumstances. So it could be when somebody just passes, or there's something major going on where they're really trying to show themselves a full presentation. Otherwise, it's orbs. Yeah.
Okay. Boy, I've been watching some of those paranormal shows. There's one that's new that I really enjoy, and a lot of people send in their films, and they're actually are showing these energy forms trying to create a body. But it's mostly light. And the one film was a guy going in the door, and the woman was with this single mother with children. I think she was protecting her, but she's standing at the door. She opened the door and he walked in, not realizing there was nobody there.
Wow.
It's amazing, but they're catching more and more proof.
They are. There's so many cameras around now that it's nice to be able to catch them. Yeah.
Right. What is the status of Kim Jong-un? Kim Jong-un's health.
Yeah. You and I talked about this a number of shows ago. What I got, and it's almost 3 months ago that I got that he was going to be around for probably another 3 months. That I felt like his health, I felt he was in grave danger of losing his life. I didn't feel he was dead. I do feel like he's getting very close now to the point at which he will pass.
Right,
So
but he's on a respirator, right?
I think at the very least, he's on life support. So, and then I do believe what they're telling me is that the sister will take control of North Korea for about a year. So about, they'll be in some sort of a transitory condition there with leadership. And then after a year, there'll be someone else that'll come in.
Okay, because I don't feel he's conscious. I've never felt him conscious.
He's
like
on
he
life
never
support.
got out of
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
There has been so much talk about Matt Groening, writer of The Simpsons, being called a time traveler. Is he a time traveler or an intuitive?
Yeah, Matt Groening.
Groening. I don't watch The Simpsons, so I don't know.
Yeah. Of course, now they're owned by Disney, interestingly enough. So, so Matt, I think Bart Simpson now and Mickey Mouse get to play together, which is kind of interesting.
That's cool.
No, he's not a time traveler, but he does have intuitive ability. He's somewhat clairvoyant, so he does communicate in a way that kind of brings through creative ideas. Not uncommon for a lot of creative people.
Yes.
Creative part of the mind is closely connected to the other side. So,
right. There is a
Yeah.
movie, one of my favorite movies. It's a political movie, and that comedian in it, he says, "We need to clean this up. This is a mess." I don't know if you remember who I'm talking about, but it's almost like it was showing us what it's going to be like when Trump was in. So, I'm sure this person who screen wrote this and stuff didn't realize that, but it's a mess.
Many screenwriters, artists, actors and musicians all channel the other side. I would say creative people channel accidentally all the time.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I know it's called The Campaign.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It's really funny. Will there be any new medical advances in effective birth control for men?
I hear a lot of women cheering out there. There will be in very short order. It won't be as long as a decade, but I'll give you 5-6 years. There's actually an advancement that reduces the potency for men. So in fact, that creates a birth control for men. So there will be. It won't be as long as 10 years, but say 6 years or so. I think we'll have something that'll be very nice for both sexes, if you will.
Okay.
Equality. In terms of birth
There you go. There you go. Will any senator or congressman be found guilty of giving out government secrets?
This plays into a lot that's going to be happening next year. And for me, what they're telling me is that no less than a dozen senators and people in Congress will be there'll be some litigation against them for trading secrets for benefits. So there will be. But I see no less than a dozen that'll be on trial.
Okay. I love it, my friend. Well, that Ron Johnson, he was in Russia last 4th of July. Something was going on there.
Yeah, and they've all traded different levels of secrets. So some have been more valuable than others, but even if you understand how the election process works, example, that's not as top secret as where the nuclear weapons are stored, but they're all secrets. Yeah.
What do you see happening with the environmental laws in Australia? The current government is trying to water them down. And so is this government within ours.
They are. What's going to be the driver over the next number of years in Australia, and I think in part in this country, but this country will lag Australia, is that they're going to actually realize more economic benefits across the economy and being more careful in those areas. So it's really going to be the economy and economic benefits that are going to turn the tide.
Okay, good. Okay, will there be hazard pay for essential workers?
In part. So they're telling me it's going to be in part. So what that means is that it won't be a substantial sum, but it'll be something that is, I don't want to call it an honorarium, but it'll be a nice amount. But there's going to be some struggle next year in the economy and kind of with the budget. So it'll be recognition. There'll be some money for our first line workers, but it won't be a tremendous amount, unfortunately.
Right. There's a good pay difference if you do night shift versus day shift. They do have
Yeah.
some differential, but yeah. Okay. This is, I don't know how to pronounce this. One of the trendiest things on YouTube and other social media is about a smartphone app called Randonakia. This app is supposed to turn your thoughts into reality. You're supposed to put your intent out into the universe, and then the app tells you where to go to get your manifestation. What is your impression about this?
Yeah, this is, and I heard about this practically, and now the guys are telling me this is really, I'll call it a random event, random coordinates generator. So when you use the app, I think you're supposed to put your intention into the app, and then it generates random coordinates, and you go to the coordinates, you're supposed to experience, your fulfillment. So this is a great marketing ploy. This is,
Okay.
this is invented in 2020, and this is a great marketing effort. So yeah, that's all it is.
Okay. Is it kind of like that ball that says yes, no, and all that?
Yeah, I mean, it falls in the same area, sure,
Okay. Will those who played a role with immigrant children being separated from their families come to justice?
This affected thousands of families. I remember some of the estimates, they thought it was like, 2,000 or 3,000, but we know now it's even much higher than that. Unfortunately, what I see happening next year is that there'll be individuals in the Department of Health and Human Services. They'll be held somewhat accountable, as well as some people in the State Department, believe it or not.
Okay.
But because this was all under executive order that was under the zero tolerance, that they're not going to be held completely accountable. So because it was an executive order around zero tolerance that created that whole problem, it's an issue with prosecuting people.
What about Miller? Will he get
In terms of
hit
the
at all?
report?
His hand get smacked?
Oh, no,
Something?
oh yeah, yeah. Well, I do feel a lot of people call before Congress, and but it's a very messy thing because of the executive order that caused it.
So I think we answered this question before. What is the hum noise heard around the world? Didn't we talk about this before?
I think there was something last week, but this rings true around some very similar things. The hum noise, and it does get reported around the world. This is a geological effect as well. So
Yeah.
these are things happening like well below the surface of the earth, even around the core of the earth. But it's that movement, even magna or things going on around the earth. It's a geological effect that's creating that hum noise. So
It's not angels blowing trumpets.
yeah, that was a little different, right? So that was a little different artifact. Yeah, not to also be confused with the rotation of the axis of the Earth. So
Right.
yeah, so the hum noise, geological effect.
Did the RNC hurt or help Trump? I guess they're talking convention.
Yeah, yeah. One of the things they're telling me is that this gave a lot of political pundits a lot of ammunition. So one of the good things about it was that it almost laid out a whole group of nicely laid out lies. So these are untruths and lies. So for example, I know one of them got called out, which was he said he built 300 miles of wall, and I think he actually built 3. So close. But I think that I think it hurt him because it laid out a lot of lies in a very nice logical order that people now can address.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Now let me ask a question to that. It might be here, but I'll find out in a minute. Is they saying Biden? Well, first of all, Trump wants Biden to have a drug test, which I think is hysterical.
Mm-hmm.
But Biden wants somebody there to make sure everything he says is, they're going to back check everything.
A fact check. Yeah.
Do you think? I'm almost wondering, are they even going to have a debate? Because they can't come to an agreement?
So kind of two questions there. You know, I do believe they're going to have a single debate. I do
Okay.
believe it. So I'll tell you
But I
that.
think Trump will mess up miserably.
Yeah, and so there'll be a lot of fact checking. I don't know if the fact checking will be real time. I think maybe it's what your question.
Right.
When they have the debate, will it be real time fact checking? I don't necessarily see that, but after the fact.
Well, I want to read real quick for the audience and for you. I got
Sure.
from Dan this morning. Who wrote this? I think it's the ABC poll. Trump drops to 31% favorability post-convention. Biden jumps 5 points to 45% post-convention. An incumbent president at 31% after 4 years in office is dismal. Trump still hasn't found Biden's political vulnerability.
I agree with that. I think in history, I think they said that no president going into like a re-election had less than 40% approval rating, something like that. So he's below 40% threshold is part of the problem. Yeah.
Can you please do a reading on ET activity in the Cheyenne Mountains? Apparently many indigenous Indians lost their lives there.
So Cheyenne Mountain is part of, like, you know, the Cheyenne Mountain complex, and that's where NORAD is, right? So that's the military base that goes into the mountain.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. There's lots of activity around that area. Indigenous Indians have lost their lives, but it's actually been a combination of, there's alien activity there too, because it's very close to our command and control system that goes into the Cheyenne Mountain. So
Okay.
there's been a lot of military activity and a lot of alien activity, and they have lost their lives, but I'm not picking up that it's been, let's say, a slaughter. There have been indigenous Indians, but a lot of things happening in that area that would cause indigenous people to lose their lives.
Interesting. Okay. Is the asteroid that is heading towards Earth around Election Day going to hit our planet?
I think it's just going to hit the White House. So.
You made me think of that movie, Jack Nicholson, the Mars one.
Right.
Attack from Mars. Wasn't that hysterical?
Oh, yeah. No, exactly. That's going to burn up in the atmosphere. That's a relatively small asteroid, relatively small, and only a fraction of the size of the asteroid that hit the Earth that created the extinction of the dinosaurs.
Yeah,
right?
I never saw it hit, but.
Yeah, no, I think it'll burn up in the atmosphere before it ever gets here. Yeah.
What are some of the ways to tell if someone is an alien disguised as a human living among us? Can they read our minds? Well, we have alien blood in us, all of us do.
We do, yeah. So, the thing about aliens is that they don't interact with human beings to any large extent at all. And there are a lot of reasons behind that. But if you do come across one, they're shapeshifters. So can shift shape and look any way they want. It is possible to come across one that's doing shapeshifting, and you get a very, very unusual reaction from the whole experience. You feel like something's off. That's true.
Why is Trump building walls around the White House?
Concerns for safety and for rioting and for
he's a bunker boy.
Anything that will get out of control. That's what it's all about. Yep.
He's scared. Yeah. Do you think they'll keep those gates?
They'll be taken down in the first part of next year.
Okay. What does the future hold for the beautiful people of Belarus now that their leader has won another term of presidency?
So what I'm seeing there is still a lot of disruption. It's going to end up being democratic, but there's a lot of disruption. It's almost like what's going on in this country. But the good news is that they've gotten a lot of support from like the European bloc, right? The European Union has declared the first election with a dictator they're not recognizing as being official. So
Okay.
the dictator will be gone. But it looks to me like it kind of rolls up into the beginning of next year before it all gets settled. So,
And it could be because we have a new president who goes in there and really helps out too.
it could be, yeah. And I saw practically on the news this week, they're throwing a lot of reporters out, right? So they're trying
Yeah,
to,
they don't want you. They don't want you. That's just like Russia.
yeah.
Is there anything to Rh negative blood?
Well, there is. I think we were just touching on it. Rh negative is not naturally occurring in our world, but that's more something that's come from out of our world, right? So that's an alien interaction for Rh negative.
That's cool. I don't have
Yeah.
negative. Do you?
AB, I think. I got to ask my wife. I think I have AB positive or something.
Oh, okay, positive. Okay. How much does our government know about the spirit world?
Quite a bit. And what's interesting is that our government, especially CIA and FBI, utilize information that they have from the spirit world to help with their investigations.
Okay.
You know, one of the most promising or prominent ones is remote viewing. So our government understands remote viewing very, very well, and they use it. So
Cool, cool.
yeah.
How much does our government, okay. Do you see anything coming up for the next week?
I do. You know, we started to say this last week, and I still see it for this week, that there's a big drop on the Michael Cohen book. More information coming, and it looked like that was going to drop this week, and I saw somebody try to stop it. Oh, I know what it was. So we said last week there'd be a drop, Michael Cohen. They stopped it, and now there is
September 8th.
Yeah. So the Michael Cohen book drop. I see Trump this week trying to claim there's another COVID-19 cure guarantee, but that by the end of the week that will be disproven. And I see Kamala Harris also coming directly after 45 in a couple of different, I'll call it op-eds or something out there that's put out in the media. So
Okay. What do you think about the new book written by that Melania gal, the gal that worked with Melania? She's putting out a book. Hers is coming out Tuesday, I think.
Yeah, I think that's going to be helpful for me. That falls in the categories like another nail in the coffin type of thing. You know, it's like another data point. Yeah.
I want to tell you guys something. I met Sterling through his wife. She had a reading with me, and she told me at that time that he predicted Trump was going to win, and she did not want that to be true. But doggone it, her husband has this ability. So he predicted Trump. If he was doing this time last year or 3 years ago, you would have said, I hate to tell you guys, but Trump's I see him winning. And I'm going to tell you, he also sees him not winning. We see all the heartache. We see all the bull that Trump's going to throw at this. He is not going to win. I don't care what anybody else says. My guides have been saying it for 3.5 years. It's the only reason I do these videos. And that's also, which I would take into respect whatever else you had to say, but you've also felt him going.
Yeah, and I think it's worth mentioning also that it's going to be a real roller coaster ride. So after the election, everybody put on your seatbelt, because it may, in fact, very short after the election, Trump may try to declare victory. It's going to be very messy all the way up through into December. So there'll be a lot of fighting back and forth, a lot of auditing. But by the time the dust settles in December, Biden will be declared the winner.
I'm even thinking that the Supreme Court might be back in this again, but I see the Supreme Court saying, no, Biden won.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But I really see it leaking into December. So notwithstanding the election is beginning of November, it's going to be.
But listen, he's going to win. Biden's going to win by such a factor. It's almost ridiculous, this guy coming back with this bull.
I always saw.
Because the night of the election, we're going to say Biden won.
Yeah, I always saw that in terms of the popular vote, Biden would be 15 points ahead minimum, 15 points. And I still believe that's the case. That'll help him carry the Electoral College. But there's going to be a lot of fighting on the other side, clearing, illegal and fraud and this and that. So I really feel like my guys are telling me it's going to be into December by the time we say, okay, now the dust settled now.
Right, that Trump will agree to it. But I also see the minute Trump knows he's a done deal, he exits stage left. Because I always saw that, my guides always showed me The tomatoes being thrown at him like he's on a stage, like he's a clown, and people are going, boo, get off the stage. So he will go down in shame. You know, he's so used to always winning. He's so used to lying and winning that this is going to be tough for him. Okay, so last but not least, do you have any information that you guys want to share?
I do, and this kind of goes with some of the things we're talking about here, but my guides are saying that, you know, a lot of protests that are going on right now are an important part of free speech and kind of calling out what I call the truth. So, so for all of us, the important message here this week is to stand in the truth. You know, an old saying was, you know the truth and the truth shall set you free. So everything that about what we do here going forward has to be standing in the truth, knowing the truth, even with the protest. So that's kind of the message that they're calling for this week, is all about truth, know the truth, and stand in it.
And it's our youth coming out. And our youth will save the day. Our youth will come out and vote 12 times over what those people, and this militia that they're allowing to come in with their guns. Trump's calling them very fine people, showing up in Oregon with the guns to act like king for a day.
Right.
Wannabes, you know, it doesn't make any sense that he's allowed. I remember when all this started to happen with the Black Lives Matter. I felt he was upset. Where are my people out there with guns and carrying on? And now that they're starting it, he's encouraging it. And that's sad. Yeah,
no, he's probably, you know, this is going to go down in history. There'll be many books, and Oliver Stone will have a movie about all of this, and it's going to be a crazy time. Yeah.
Okay. Well, you guys, it was great talking to you, and thanks for supporting Sterling. I'll have his information on the bottom of how to book with him, and then I'll also have his little thing on how to do the community channel.
Sounds
and
good.
A winner next week, you guys.
All righty.
All
Thanks,
right.
everybody.
Thank you.